Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of Voice from the Podcast, a Blake 7 sequel, adjacent, best friend, cousin, prequel, whatever, to our Federation's Most Wanted series, where I get back friends from the other line to talk more about their Blake 7 interests, not just my silly 10 questions, but more can they say about what they do in the Blake 7 fan space. And today I'm thrilled to be joined by Carol and Grahame, the superpowers behind the mighty CULTEDGE. Hi, guys. Welcome.
Hi, nice
Hi
to
there.
be
Hi, lovely to be here.
Superpowers, I believe. Yeah, let's see about that.
That's nice.
Come on. The guys on the other end of this would have heard it before, but I'm literally surrounded by my CULTEDGE, where it's all around me and it's glorious. And you guys have always got my thanks for keeping this alive and going and keeping us fed and watered with amazing content. So
that's kind of you. You've always been one of our biggest supporters, so we really appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
No,
yeah,
it's amazing. So we're going to talk. I've had the privilege of meeting you guys in person last year at the con, the Blake 7 con. But I'd love for you to share with the guys like how the CULTEDGE journey started. How do you guys come together and form this awesome team?
Good question. Well, Carol and I have been best friends now for how long is it now?
Ooh, nigh on 30 years.
It must be
yeah,
at least 30 years. Yeah, Carol and I used to work together, and let's not. Yeah, we used to work together. Yeah. We just kind of, our friendship grew from a shared love of everything kind of geeky. I think is that fair to say, Carol?
I think so, definitely. And we shared lots of geek moments, Star Trek particularly, I think, at the time. And then I think my Blake 7 geekiness was rekindled very much with when you started buying those video cassettes when they released them in the 90s. Yeah, so that was a good point to pick that up again. So yeah, lots of geek.
Yeah. So yeah, our friendship has really kind of it's a strong friendship, and we've got a lot of shared interests. And in terms of the CULTEDGE thing, I mean, it's not something, I think it's something that just kind of happened almost by accident. It happened, I mean, I was, I think I mentioned this previously to you. I was producing some kind of odd pieces of merchandise using platforms like Redbubble and Etsy and so on. And it was just something to fuel my kind of passion for graphic design and Blake 7, and there not being a huge amount of Blake stuff out there. So I kind of experimented with posters and teleport bracelet socks, which you can still buy on the Redbubble site if anyone's interested. And in terms of it kind of really took off, I guess, when we started work on the 1982 annual. Which was the result of a joke tweet. I can't remember when that was, Carol.
The end of 2019, wasn't it?
Really?
Just before Christmas, I think. Yeah.
So just before we went into lockdown, then.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
so.
We mentioned this on the previous one, but you and I were on a sadly unaired podcast together.
Yeah.
And I remember you floating it then. We were asked at the end kind of what was our dream for our sort of niche fields, where would we take it further? And I remember your one being, I'd love an annual. It'd be awesome. And you described it. And of course, when you then went on to go, actually, this is now happening. It's real, and you started tweeting those odd pages from it and stuff. Yeah, it's amazing.
I think as fans, I think a lot, I think it's unfair to say that a lot of fans like us, there's a certain element of OCD in there. And that lack of a 1982 Series D annual always bugged me. It always did. It's like, imagine what they could have done. So yeah, we put the joke tweet out. It was just a mock-up of a cover which said, imagine if this existed, I think it said, or something. And then we got tons of response to that tweet saying, well, I'd buy it. And I'm like, I was saying to Carl, I think there's some legs in doing this. But it wasn't, I guess it didn't really become a viable option until lockdown, because obviously we were all stuck at home. So that's kind of when it started in earnest, I think. Although we'd been kind of talking about it a lot before then, Carol, haven't we, as well?
Yeah. Well, when you sent me because I don't do social media on a great deal. So you had to
Very
tell
nice.
me you tweeted them. Look at this, I've tweeted, and wouldn't it be great if we could do this? And I thought, yeah. And I said, yeah, that would be great. Thinking that's not going to happen. But then the interest that came in, and it just became evident that yeah, this could happen. And it was amazing how many people sent in their interests and the quality of contributions. It was great. Yeah.
I think that's the key to the whole project's success. If it has been a success, I like to think it was a success. Has been, you know, the annual wouldn't exist without everyone that contributed to it. You know, I didn't really contribute any content that I can remember to the book. All the content was supplied by fans, so it was very, very fan driven. I would have nothing to sit down and design if people weren't so enthusiastic in sending over their short stories and the brilliant fan illustrations and fan art. And then obviously when we started looking at features, there was so much untapped sort of content out there that, you know, we had I always use this phrase, we had an embarrassment of riches in terms of what to put in that first annual. And we're faced again, I have to say, with the new one. I mean, the worst, I guess maybe the trickiest part of these projects is when you're not able to put some of those contributions into the annual due to lack of space. I mean, you know, each of these books, I mean, the first annual could have easily been 400 pages. Same with this one. You know, we have to make some tricky decision, and that's if there is a downside, it's the trying to kind of cope with or deal with the disappointment in people that have contributed that we've sadly not been able to put in the book. But again, that's another sign of just what a rich franchise Blake Seven is. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there people want to see.
And the fact that we, sorry, I was just going to mention the fact that we managed to, well, not managed to, but we were able to put out an anthology because of the amount of contributions we got. We got so many stories for the first book that we thought, well, we can't not have these out there for people to enjoy. So that's when the anthology came about. And it came about also because we had a lot of everybody loves Villa. So it seemed that we got so many Villa stories, which were, and some of them, they were just so good. And we thought we can't have a book full of Villa stories. So, you know, we want to showcase them. So that was an opportunity to do that as well.
That's exactly what I was going to ask is how did we go from the annual to the anthology? But you've asked, and was it the same with the next one when we got onto the?
It was. I mean, when we put out the call for short stories for the 2023 book, again I think we had a similar amount of stories submitted than we did for the first one. But what's remarkable about this, the short story submissions that we had for this annual is that we've used every single one of them. They were all publishable stories. So everyone that contributed a story to either the annual, well, initially to the annual, has either gone into the annual or it's been printed already in the Thieves Killers anthology. So we were able to publish each and every one of those stories. And it wasn't in it as a sort of it would be a shame not to. It's because they genuinely were publishable short stories. I mean, Carol had the unenviable task of actually reading all of them. And I'm sure you will probably agree, Carol, that they were all kind of, you know, in a league of their own.
Oh, they were, yeah. I mean, some of the stories, you're just so impressed at the quality of them. I started dreaming about Blake Seven. I was just reading these over, which is not a bad thing. There's worse things to dream about. But yeah, they were such good quality. It was really impressive to see how many great writers are out there, and they love Blake Seven, which you know, a combination. So we're lucky to have that, and to be able to do another anthology as well.
Absolutely. And you know, you were talking at the beginning there about the sort of the crime of there was no Series D annual, you know, originally in the real world, and now there is. And I loved, I mean, my appreciation to you guys is the fact that it just felt so real, if that's the right way to call it. It really did feel like it was the missing piece, and the quality, like you say, throughout it. And I remember the day it kind of arrived, you know, flicking through it, and it just looked so amazing. It looked so it did not look fan created. The stories felt read so well. The art, I mean, the amount of times I was talking to a friend about it at the time, the amount of times I kind of turned a page and went, oh, that piece of art is apex. Wow, that's a bit of Blake Seven art I always wish there was. And you turned it and you go, no, actually this is the one. They were just stunning. And then when you released
Sorry, I know there's a slight delay here. Sorry.
That's right.
I think the key here was the quality. I mean, the quality of work that we were sent over was amazing. But also, it's a book that Carol and I really wanted to have on the shelf.
Mm.
We were doing it. I mean, we were doing it. I think it's fair to say as much for ourselves as for everyone else. So we wanted to make sure it was the kind of book that we would pay money for. And let's not beat around the bush. I mean, it's not a cheap book because it's self-published. We're not asking people to give it. The old annuals were what, £3, £4, £5. This is substantially more. So we needed to make sure that people were getting something that hopefully was worth that amount of money, and also was a quality piece of Blake Seven merchandise that we wanted as much as anything else.
Yeah, and it's great to look at. I mean, the illustrations, the illustrators that have contributed to just do amazing work and bring the stories to life. And just to see that, when I first saw these stories that Grahame put, he said, "Look, here we are. We're starting to put it together." It's just amazing to see them on page. And Grahame won't say it himself, but he's designed all of this book. It wouldn't be the book it is without his skill in putting it together, and his creation has come from a fan's point of view, hasn't it? So it certainly is. It's that book that you thought for years that should have been there. Yeah. And with the help of the fans that have contributed, then here we are.
We would have nothing to create if we had nothing to work with. So, and again, this comes back to something that actually I mentioned in the next book. Carol and I have put a little editorial at the back again, just to explain why we've done that. And one of the things I've said in that piece in the new book is that the BBC really need to pay attention to that, to Blake Seven and that franchise, because there's a lot of love, there's a lot of clamour for good quality merchandise. Big Finish certainly know that. I mean, they're bringing out a beautiful box set of books from the first series next month, which just looks stunning and has had a huge positive reaction. There's a market out there for Blake Seven material. We've said this before, haven't we? People want to have Blake Seven merchandise, and I think the BBC would be foolish if they didn't approach the 50th with some plans for something. Hopefully the Blu-ray box sets, but I'd be happy with anything from the BBC, to be honest. But they need to pay attention to it because it's a strong, well-loved franchise. Not many TV shows can say that, maybe other than Doctor Who after 45 years.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was, for those obviously that can't see me, I was double fingers crossed as he was saying the Blu-rays. Come on, BBC. And I'm still going to whisper action figures. My life clock is running down, BBC. There's not a big number left. Please, God.
I want some action figures. I want some series action figure set.
Oh, can you imagine it? Can you imagine a Series D Avon? Come on, please, please, it'd be amazing. But I mean, you're talking about
that's what it to be.
Yeah, you were talking about the kind of the look of the annual, and I also just want to say that it was like when the annual was coming, it looked like this amazing, beautiful thing. And I always remember you then putting out the thing going, oh, there's going to be like a contributors edition and all this. And that to me, as amazing as the original annual is, the cover work and so on the contributors one is just breathtaking.
That's very much thanks to Damien. Damien May is an old friend. I've known for about 20 years now. And he'd always produced amazing Blake Seven artwork. And if we were going to do a special contributors edition, there's only one person we could really have gone to do that, and that was Damien. He did a phenomenal job of that cover. And I know a lot of people who weren't contributors saw that cover and kind of with some envy. But yeah,
absolutely.
And just on a similar tab, we have another contributors edition of the 2023 annual as well. So
Yeah.
hopefully that'll be another way of us being able to sort of thank the contributors for all their hard work.
And lastly, on the previous annual, Paul, we do need to move on to the new one. Is obviously there was the one-off super mega monster version that was auctioned at Forever Avon as well. And that was something I think I remember talking to you guys on the way in, declaring that it was going to be mine, and losing out on that one. But I have seen it with my own eyes now. On this podcast we have had the true owner, and
it seems to have been traveled around the world as well. I mean, I saw a post from the person who was successfully bid for that book that had it signed at a convention in the States, I think.
Yeah,
so it's a well-traveled book, that one. Yeah, I think it raised over £350 that edition, which was a brilliant achievement. And thank you to the person who bid for that book.
Yeah, and as well, it did also spawn. You did the cover as a poster as well, which is amazing. I'll just point again. I keep doing this, right? We're on an audio podcast, and I keep pointing at my wall that no one can see. But that's another awesome piece. But let's talk about the big one now. Let's do it. Let's launch into the new annual. What are you going to tell me, guys? Come on.
Well, in terms of production, this one's taken a little bit longer. This has taken us over a year to create, whereas the first one took about 6 or 7 months, and that's purely because we're not in lockdown anymore. We've got jobs and lives that we return to, so we've had to steal time to create this one. I think, fingers crossed, I think it's worth it. Carol, I mean, what are your thoughts of what we've managed to do?
Yes, it's definitely worth it. I hope everybody agrees, but it's another behemoth. Grahame said to me, what about we do another book? And this time it will be not just Series D, it will be all 4 series. It will be half the size of the last one. I said, you're kidding. It's not going to be half the size. It's going to be the same at least. We're looking at 4 seasons now. So yeah, it has come in about the same. Is it exactly the same page number? Something very similar.
It's more now because we've
today actually.
It's the last day of design and production, and I'm just working on a Matt Irvin interview that Andy Spencer's done for us, and that's added another 16 odd pages to the book. So it's bigger than the last one. It's slightly bigger than the last one. We're finishing production of it. I'll be finishing design of it today. Carol and I will be looking over the sort of the file at the weekend and doing some deep level proofing and tidying and making sure that everything's in the right place and everyone's names that's contributed is spelled correctly. And I know, Carol, are you going to be on the bus tomorrow doing some proofing? Is that right?
I'll be proofing on the way down. We're going to proof, at the weekend. We need to get that correct. Everybody's in the book that needs to be in the book. Yeah, we don't want any typos.
Amazing.
It's a big part of it. Yeah, I think I've read the book about twice already. And there will be. You just dread. I actually didn't read the last book. I bought the book as did Grahame, but I haven't read it because I just dread. I don't want to see any typos. Obviously, we could update it, but we don't want that. But it's been a good read, and I've still not finished. And we don't think we've commented on the actual articles, the features as well. There's so many features in the book as well that so as well as I think it's 11 short stories and a similar amount of features in the book this time, which is a lot. Yeah.
I mean, just to give you a kind of a sneak preview, we've got a lovely brand new interview with Jan Chappell. Quite a long and interesting interview. And what I will say is that Jan herself was quite heavily involved in the editing and the kind of the proofing of that interview, because we wanted to make sure obviously that it was absolutely what she wanted, and we didn't want to put in anything that she was not happy with. So Jan was calling every weekend for a short period of time, sort of with ideas and thoughts and some small clarifications on points that she'd raised in the interview. So Jan's been really quite I mean, I would struggle to say that she's been a co-editor, but she's certainly been involved in helping us make sure that
Wow.
aspect of it is just right. And it's an amazing interview. Obviously, we've got the interview with Matt Irvin that I've mentioned.
Yep.
Got a couple of archive interviews that haven't been seen anywhere before, including an interview with Vera Lorimer by
Ooh.
Andrew Mark Thompson.
So
Sorry, Andrew Mark Sewell. There's two Andrew Marks in the book. Andrew Mark Thompson
sorry.
Andrew Mark Sewell. Apologies to Andrew Mark Sewell. Yeah, who's supplied an amazing interview with Vera Lorimer. We've got an interview with Tanith Lee in there as well.
Ooh, cool.
And a 32-page feature on all the spaceships of Blake 7.
Wow.
Lots of other stuff as well. There's even some stuff from you in that book, Mr.
Maybe.
Preacher.
Maybe there's a gaming exclusive for people to get their teeth into once again.
So I think content-wise, it's people hopefully will know what to expect, but I would go as far as to say that hopefully they've raised the bar in terms of quality in this one. I hope so anyway.
Well, it was amazing last time. You've not let us down yet, guys. So expectations are running high. Everybody's hyped. I mean, you only have to look at the comments back on Twitter, really. Every time you post something, the buzz is there, sir. The buzz is there.
People won't have to wait very much longer for it. We are, with your permission, are happy to announce when it's coming out.
Do it. Come on, let's do it.
Go on, Carol.
Okay. So we are going to publish on the 27th of March. Monday, the 27th of March, and Grahame will tell you the significance of that, as there's usually a significance to these.
Yeah, we launched the 1982 annual at the precise time and date that Series D began, September. Nice. And the significance of the 27th of March, and we're going to put the purchase link out at 8:10 in the evening, because that was when the first series came to an end. That was when ORAC was broadcast. So
okay.
Monday, 27th of March 1978 at 8:10 is when the first series ended. So that's when we're putting the annual out for sale. So general public will be able to get their hands on it from 8:10 on the Monday the 27th of March.
Amazing. Oh, excitement. There you go, folks. You heard it first.
However, there's another date that we can put, because obviously because it's self-published, we'd love to give contributors a free copy, but we just can't do that. So as with the 1982 book, we'll be producing a contributors only edition. So all published contributors in the 2023 annual will get a link to buy their copy 2 weeks prior to that. So that'll be Monday the 13th of March. So we'll be sending out a link to all contributors on Monday the 13th of March to buy their edition. And we'll also be sending out an A4 print of Morris's fantastic Children of Auron illustration to all the contributors, just to thank them as well.
Amazing. Wow, there we go. Hey, Christmas coming early. This is going to be awesome. Really exciting, guys. So, I mean, we've got that coming. That's coming really soon, really, really soon. But what does the future hold? What's next, other than the rest and a break? But what's on the horizon?
What is on the horizon, Carol?
Well, you tell us.
well, there probably won't be another Blake 7 annual. I think we've ran that well dry a little. However, in saying that, we have got our eyes on the 50th anniversary, 2028. God, we're living in the future, aren't we?
We are. It's incredible, isn't it?
So yeah, that maybe then. But in the meantime, we'll be working with Jonathan Helm. At making Blake 7. Almost immediately starting work once this book's published on the Series A production diary. And we all know just how much information that Jonathan has access to. That book is going to be, I think that's going to be a Bible for the first series of Blake 7. I can't wait to see what Jonathan writes and creates. All the content will be generated by Jonathan, and I'll be grabbing it from him with grateful hands and designing that book over the next few weeks and months. So there's no specific print date for that, but I'm assuming it'll hopefully be this side of 2024. But yeah, I know we're both very, very keen to get started on that. And in terms of Cult Edge stuff, I mean, Carol and I are having kind of initial conversations about creating something a little bit more frequent, potentially a quarterly publication, which kind of opens the door to other types of cult TV. So we wouldn't just be covering Blake 7, there'd be other things in there. It'd be a publication. It wouldn't be an annual, it wouldn't be a book. It would be, if anything, a quarterly kind of magazine. But we're just starting to talk about how that could work and how we can make that work, and what kind of content would go in it. But again, we'd be opening the gates to anyone who wanted to get involved in creating content for that. But there's not a lot to say about that because we've not really had a proper chat about it, have we, Carol? Apart from to say that we'd like to do it. So
yeah, the idea is definitely there, because we can open it to a much broader spectrum, cult TV. Because we have done a lot on Blake 7, and it's great, the contributions we've got, but there's a bigger scope out there for more programs. We had, I think Grahame mentioned or considered the Sapphire and Steel annual, but that became evident that we didn't have the wealth of riches, as Grahame put it, for the contributions that we might get for that kind of that topic, that program. So to be able to do something of a wider spectrum of programs would be a really good opportunity, I think, and it would be interesting to see what we can do with that as well, and how much interest we get.
But we certainly wouldn't be turning our backs on Blake 7. I think we'd still find to get some Blake 7 stuff in that publication.
There will always be room for Blake 7, wouldn't there? Yeah.
Can I put my hands together at this point and do a little prayer wish? You know, more posters, Grahame. More posters.
Of course.
You know,
yeah.
I really want that Tarrant-shaped whole field and the Sulin one as well. That would be, you know.
Well, the thing is, there is a Tarrant and Sulin poster artwork that was ready to go a couple of years ago. So
you showed me. You showed me once that you were working on the Sulin one. You showed me the picture.
Tell you what, then because you've been such a supporter, we'll get that uploaded very soon. Then, and we'll put a post out about those. But yeah, they've been lying in an unused design folder on my Mac for too long.
Yeah, I mean, some of those are my, I've got them on my office wall in front of me, and it's kind of my mental health wall. You know, whenever I'm feeling a bit low, I've got the kind of the line with the Blake Bounty Hunter one. If people haven't seen it, jump on Grahame's store, have a look at it. I love it. It's beautiful. Next to it, there's a terminal one of Avon, which again I absolutely love it. And the kind of the last of my favourites is there's a Villa one. Which is I just love that. It's brilliant. It's so good. It's so good. I really enjoy it. Guys, 1,000 thank yous for coming on today, for giving us some exclusives, for giving us a glimpse into the behind the scenes magic of Cult Edge. And I'm sure we're all going to be poised when that buy button link comes out. It's going to be great. But just thank you for all you've done to keep the dream alive, really, and propel it forward. I genuinely believe, without the stuff you guys have done over the last couple of years, we wouldn't be in the great place we are. It spurred other people on to be creative and to push the boundaries. So thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. That's lovely.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's lovely to hear. Yeah,
again, our thanks to everyone who's taken the time to contribute to these books, because again, the quality is as much, if not more, to do with what people have sent us as to how it looks. So thank you, everyone who's been a supporter of these two books.
Yeah, contributors and those purchasing the book, and because it's also made a contribution to charities as well. So which is a great
absolutely.
That's actually quite an important thing, just to reiterate, if we can, is that these books are not. We don't make any money on these books whatsoever. All the kind of we mark up the Lulu book price by £2, and that money goes to charity. The charity for the new book has been chosen by Jan Chappell, and it's the DEC Ukraine Humanitarian Appeal, which is we've already raised touching £2,000 on sales of the calendar, the Thieves Killers anthology already for that appeal. So hopefully we can double it with the annual. So yeah, it's important to remember that these projects are fan created. Nobody's making any profits or money from it. and in fact, we're raising lots of money for important charities. So that's dead important that we get that across.
Absolutely, and an amazing work it is. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you to all you folks out there for listening and for keeping the podcast stream alive. As long as you're listening, I'll keep doing it. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.